The leaders were now in the closing stages, which comprised of a second run through the hills and wheat fields, concluding with a final attempt at the spectator stage. What was assured was that the honours would go to one of the Dalbit team cars, and with only 9 seconds separating them, it looked certain to go down to the wire. Rajiv Barij and Jeff Mays were still trying to recover places on the leaderboard, but any time gained was lost when they punctured on stage 9, and the best they could do was come 11. Azar Anwar and Julius Giga had kept their place at the head of the field, but overall only came 6th. It was a result of being first on the road and an underperforming engine.
It looks like I desperately need to really upgrade the car. You know, we are pushing it too hard. It's the oldest car in the top 15, and it's almost impossible to keep up.
Jesse Chatte and Guru Panasa could not have put in a better drive, comfortably claiming an impressive 5th place. Sponsored by Kibble Sugar, the result could not have been sweeter. Quinton Mitchell and Chris Davis had driven true to form, steadily increasing their pace throughout the rally. They were 1 minute quicker through the hills the second time around, and after a well-judged performance, 4th was well-deserved. Baldev Chaga and Raju Semi were still looking for more power, and having done their best, trailed by over 4 minutes. But this didn't detract from at last returning to the podium, having come 3rd.
I had big issues with the car today, just didn't seem to have any power at all. In a straight line, you just put your foot down and just waiting for the next corner to come, and just would take forever.
Whilst the leaders returned to service before facing the final stage, there were several left stranded in the hills. This is the N14 of Akif Virani and Tausif Khan, who got bogged down avoiding another car.
If we'd got through here, we'd have probably been stuck or hit her, because we need the momentum to go through. So we thought we'd go that way because it was a bit too late. We couldn't do anything.
Not far up the road, we found Charles Hinga and Norris Ongalo, who had come to a halt, having watched their front wheel take off after its wheel studs dropped out.
These wheel nuts came off, and as a result, the wheel actually went flying past us. You can't reverse, it has no drive, there's nothing that you can do, absolutely.
Up at the front, Alistair Kavanagh and Gavin Lawrence gave away 12 seconds to Tundo on the penultimate 2 stages, forced to drive on a puncture, and were trailing by 22 seconds with 1 5-kilometer stage remaining. Carl Tundo and Tim Jessup had driven a flawless rally, fastest through 4 of the 8 stages, but had to keep up the pressure all the way through. It was a measure of how competitive the sport is, with only 22 seconds separating the top 2 after 126 kilometers of motoring. Now they just had to hold onto it through the final 5 kilometers. The final section was the spectator stage, but once again the weather intervened, with the heavy clouds dumping their load on the track, forcing the organizers to cancel, declaring the results as they stood.
Yeah, it was a good battle. We kept on swapping stage times, and I'd beat him, and then he'd beat me, and then I'd beat him, and I'm very glad they've cancelled this one.
Unfortunately, I had a puncture in the Loldaiga stage, and we drove 13 k's on a puncture, so I think without that it would have been a lot closer.
It gives me a bit of a gap now, so last 2 rallies consolidate and try and take the title.
This was Carl Tundo and Tim Jessup's 4th win of the season. Carl Tundo and Alistair Kavanagh had been in their own race, 4 minutes ahead of Baldev Chaga, with the cars behind split into groups. Jaswinder Chana was the highest placed Group S car in 14th, and Aslam Khan the only classic in 21st. As expected, all the 2-wheel drives were at the bottom of the leaderboard, making up the 32 cars that finished. With Ian Duncan not scoring, Carl Tundo now leads the championship by 85 points. Alistair Kavanagh consolidates third, and Balder Chaga appears on the board in sixth.